So anyway, oh, I just saw Minnesota check in. So we've got lots of representation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the things going on in the country right now. And with NCCA, we will be updating through our newsletter in the near future. And you can always call us or email us, and we are happy to respond. So what I'd like to do is introduce our guest host. And he asked me to make it really simple and brief. So rather than tell you all of his wonderful accomplishments, some of which are in the bio, what I would say to you is that he owned 5 schools in North Carolina for 28 and a half years. And he has taken all of those true life experiences that we all know you can't make up, and turned it into a way of talking to everyone that has felt his pain, into, helping us see the positive in what we do, but also laughing sometimes at what we experience. So I would like to turn this over to Vernon Mason. Thank you so much, Vernon, who has been a longtime supporter of NCCA in bringing your good news to us.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. And I just have to give a shout out to our Indianapolis people. Who has not been on a Zoom call and said, I hate this dang Zoom. I can't hear a thing. I mean, we all need Storm and Diane to help keep us straight, because I'd have it turned around backwards, upside down, and inside out. Wouldn't know what's going on. Anyway, it does get frustrating when you're dealing with all this, but it's the new world that we live in. Who would have thought? I'm so small-minded. I didn't realize the pandemic could take us out in 2021. I thought that was so, 1938. I mean, really. But anyway, so today I'm going to have some fun. That's what we're going to do. I might teach you a little something along the way. You might be able to pick up a little something, but really it's just about having fun. It really is just, so don't take me too seriously. There's plenty, you can always, call and complain, or you can always, keep your comment to yourself. It doesn't matter, whatever. But I'll probably step on somebody's toes along the way, or offend somebody somewhere along the way. And it's okay. Don't take yourself too seriously. I don't take myself too seriously. I want to start with a little bit of history, because I do think it's interesting for you to know where I came from, how I got here, and why I do what I do. I've been in this field for 28 and a half years. My mom kept children in our home growing up. And we moved that program when I graduated from college into our first location. It held 33 children. I spent the first couple of years cooking and working in the pre-K classroom from 4 to 6 every afternoon. And that was really interesting. And I will say, hands down, my favorite job of all time was working in that pre-K room in the afternoon, because those kids were cool and they were funny. Let me tell you, they would tell the best stories, and you knew you shouldn't ask follow-up questions. But it's really hard when they tell you stories like their mom who lost the top in the hot tub with the neighbor, right? When daddy was out of town. When mom comes in, you want to go, did you find your bikini top that you lost in the hot tub with the neighbor? And what does daddy think about all that? That true saying is, I know what you did over the weekend, because he told everybody, right? And my mom worked in the nursery for, several years, and she cared for everybody. Sit down, 7 babies by herself, and she did it. I mean, can you believe it? I mean, now in some states it's like 3 to 1. I'm like, you're a glorified nanny. Jeez. Oh, you ought to be, and they still find something to complain about. I'm like, oh, get in the real world. Back in the day, we actually had to work. I mean, you actually had to watch kids and supervise them all at the same time. And my mom, she was so good. She would sit in that rocking chair, and she'd have one kid in her lap, one kid on her leg, and one kid in the bouncy seat. She had a bottle propped. Don't tell anybody. Nobody died. It was good. But you did when you're taking care of 7 kids, you do what you got to do. She'd keep a basket of soft toys next to her rocking chair. And she would, as the kids would wake up in the cribs, she would throw a toy to them, right? Now that is dramatically different than throwing a toy at them. She would throw a toy to them for them to play with, right? And when they would throw the toy back, she would say, he needs to move up now. So that was kind of the scenario. It's time for her to go up. Oh, there's Michelle Lang. Hey, Michelle. Glad to see you today. All right. Somebody's laughing. So anyway, so we grew out of that location. We moved a couple times. We had a center that was destroyed in a hurricane and flooding. We moved downtown Wilson, and I still say to this day that was the biggest compliment I was ever paid, is that those parents drove out of a way, added about a 30-minute to their commute time for a solid year while we were buying and building our new location. Now, I'll tell you, and I'll follow up with this in a second. And I do have self-diagnosed ADHD, so I will take you down a rabbit hole. So when I come up from the rabbit hole, you may have to tell me where we were in the story because I will forget. So anyway, so we moved downtown and we built a new building. I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack, but the one thing I did right that time is when we built a new building, I built it for twice the size of what we needed. We went there with 125 kids. I built the building for almost 250. And within a year and a half, we filled it up when we moved in from 125 to 248. Don't ever do that. That's bad. Let me tell you, that's when you hire people like this. They come in and you interview them at lunchtime, and you're interviewing them in the morning and they accept the job, and you say, could you come and cover our lunch this afternoon, right? You know, that's not the kind of hiring we want to do because that doesn't always turn out real good. But it gave me a great education on who to hire and not to hire. So that was a really cool thing. So I worked on my I'm going to change gears here a little bit. So we grew that program to 248. And I was a single site owner director for about 13 years. And then I decided, my mom retired, and then I decided that I would grow the company. So we went from 1 to 5 locations, and I spent about 15 years being a multi-site owner. Let me tell you, changing the culture of a program that you acquire is one of the hardest things you will ever do, because sometimes that culture is so ingrained. And one of the things I tell people in the first book I wrote that's called Don't Go, one of the first things I tell people, when you have a bad culture, when you have turnover issues, you absolutely need to fire somebody. I bet almost everybody in this call can tell you who your negative Nelly is in your program. Right? Who is the one that you avoid going and talking to every morning? Because you know, every morning when you go in and say hello, that I'm just going to say she, I know there's some he's, but they're going to just say she is going to vomit on you. You know, when you go in the room, you know it's coming. Did you see Bobby came in with a Coca-Cola this morning? My trash didn't get taken out. They left the lights on last night. Look at my block center over there. It is destroyed. Did you know Sally was 5 minutes late? And by the time you walk out of there, you're like, give me a Xanax. Jeez. And you wonder why her husband has not been on Snapped, because you're like, how's he been with her for 30 years and not killed her? Because at this point, I think I would help him hide the body at this point. I mean, you know, geez, woman. But anyway, so we all have those kinds of people, and we're heart-centered people. And so we keep them on staff, not realizing or not willing to do the work it takes to get them out. And I will tell you, it is worth the unemployment. It is worth the little bit of pain you're going to get to go ahead and set those people free, because those toxic people, you cannot change them. They are who they are, and they are showing you who they are over and over and over again. And I'll tell you, one of the most embarrassing things that came to my front door was when I finally let Elaine go. That was her name. When I let Elaine go, I realized I had tolerated her for 7 years. And when she finally walked out the door, I thought, how many people has she tarnished? How many people did she poison in those 7 years, right? And it made me say, I will never, ever do that again. I don't care whether parents like them or don't like them. If they can't be team players or they can't be positive, if I don't want to spend 5 minutes with them, then why do I think any of my employees want to spend 8 hours with them? They can't, because you think, oh, well, they'll be positive, they'll be a work about. They can't. Physiology, the way it works is once you put people in a classroom together, your blood pressure, everything, it starts jiving. It starts working together. Hey, I've been in this field long enough to know that if I put women in a classroom together, after a while, they start cycling together. That's just the God's honest truth. Now, you know, I've worked with women way too long when I know those kinds of things, but that is exactly what happens. So that is just proof right there that you cannot assume you put someone positive in there with someone negative that they're going to be able to overcome, because they cannot overcome it. So on my bucket list, here I am changing gears again. So we did that for 28 and a half years. And then I sold my company to a large regional chain. And I was doing full-time professional development and speaking engagements for state associations and large companies. And then COVID hit and it kind of died, right? And so reached out a client, a friend of mine over the years, reached out to me about joining a new company, and I did, and I'll tell you about that at the end of our meeting today about what I'm working on now. So one of the things that I do love doing is doing my speaking engagements. And recently, the college that I got my undergraduate from reached out to me, and we are in talks. You know you're important when you're in talks, right? You're in talks. I'm in talks with them about doing their commencement speech next year. And my husband, Andy, when I told him I was going to do that, he said, "Oh my God, don't do that." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're going to say something to make them cringe." I said, "Absolutely, I will, but I'll try to keep it G-rated, maybe PG-rated, but I'm going to say something to make them cringe." I just love watching people cringe. I just think it's hysterical to watch people do that. So it is on my bucket list to do the commencement speech there. So I will be doing that. And I'm going to turn it on its end because, you know, that's what I do. You know, most commencement speeches, they tell you about this and that and the other, and they praise the people with all the cables, you know, the cording around the neck, all these people who graduated summa cum laude and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, I didn't graduate summa cum laude. I graduated barely getty by, right? You know, if you don't know what that is, send me an email. I'll explain to you later. But anyway, I graduated barely getty by and graduated with a lot of college debt that I had to pay back. And so I'm not going to spend my time doing that commencement speech talking about the people with the summa cum laude because they're going to be successful regardless. Absolutely. Well, no matter, they're smart enough to know whatever they have to do to get to the top, they're going to get there. I'm going to spend my commencement speech talking to those people who are like me, who didn't know quite what they wanted to do and didn't know quite how to get there. And I'm going to help them. And so what kind of advice would you give them? Well, you know, one of the things I would give them is this, is be open to opportunities. Opportunities will come knocking, but people often pigeonhole themselves and say, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to." You know what? When opportunity knocks, you should listen. Sometimes there is great things in there that will move you in a direction that you may not be thinking that you're open to move into. I also say, you know, think of becoming an entrepreneur because it is one of the best skills there are out there. Or if not become an entrepreneur, find a vibrant company that is moving and growing and is fast moving. That's the kind of company you want to be with, right? One that's growing and changing. If you can't do that, then go with a company institution. Now, I will tell you, I just saw Michelle Lank on here. Michelle Lank is one of my best examples of community institutions. Michelle, if you don't follow her on Facebook, it's Kids World in Statesboro. I always get it confused. Statesboro, Georgia. Follow her on Facebook. She is working herself into being a community institution. That means her people, the mayor of that town, the American Red Cross, the United Way, they all start seeing her as an equal player. And that's what you want to be in our field. You want to be one of those community institutions where people look up to you and look at what you're doing. You don't want to be the kind of program where you've got your hands out. You're always wanting money, give me money, help support me. No, we need to be self-supporting and becoming a community institution, because we also have to look attractive to the younger generation, because those are the people that we need to recruit to come and work for us. And if we haven't done anything innovative or new and nothing to show for it in a while, that younger generation is not going to come on board. So having a sales pitch and having something that stand behind that sales pitch is quite important. Now, when you talk about the younger generation, you know, these people are motivated. I mean, they are so motivated. I mean, they get, you know, they think it's a win when they have a good bowel movement. I mean, it's just, you know, when they go to the bathroom and go to do DM, it's like, oh, look at this, right? And we're all like, why do they think that we're supposed to praise them when they just come to work? It's their job. Guys, look around here. You all raised these people who we're now complaining about, right? When I was a kid and it was time to potty train, and Cindy might have been this way too, I don't know. When it was time to potty train you, I was motivated by my grandma and her opportunities. She said, if you don't go, I'm gonna get a switch, right? That motivated me to go in the potty. And the generation that we're now employing, you know what they're motivated? What do their families do when it's time to go for them to potty train? They brought the whole family around. They pee-peed in the potty and everybody cheered. Yay, look, let's give them a star. They just did something that's pretty natural, and we're supposed to have a freaking parade, right? Really, people, I mean, I don't think a BM's an idea to have a parade, but anyway, I mean, you know, the sticker to death. So that's why we can't blame them. We can all complain about it, but we can't blame these people for being that way, because they are that way because we raised them to be that way. So you know what? If that means you've got to give a participation trophy to your people for showing up, you better go buy you some stickers. Get it ready. All right. So yeah, I was sitting in one of my program's offices one day, and we were waiting for 12 o'clock, a new employee to show up on her first day. You know, she had jumped through so many hoops a phone interview, an in-person interview, an audition, and she made it through all of that. And now the way we are hiring now we get them on a phone interview and we offer them a job on the phone. You're right. Come on in. You're right. That's where we are. But anyway, so this is when we were making people jump through a lot of hoops. So we jumped through a lot of hoops, and it was our first day. It was noon, and I was sitting there talking with the director, and noon came and gone. She didn't show up. I was like, oh, geez. Anybody have that happen where your new hires don't show up? Yeah. What I'm finding in our industry now is you have to have 12 leads, 12 people negotiating, interviewing, talking to, emailing 12 people to get how many hires? One, to get one hire. So if you need 3 people, if you don't have 36 people on the line, you're never going to get called up. See, I told you I'd teach you something today, right? So get 36. If you need 3 people, get 36 people in the line. Get busy working. You better be working indeed like a prostitute, turn them tricks. All right. So anyway, so 12 came, 12:05 came, still no show up. 12:15, here she comes. We'll call her Betty. How about that? So here comes Betty. She's got a big frappe latte, whatever, from Starbucks. She walks in and says, good morning. And I'm like, well, it's afternoon, but okay. And the director brought in, she said, Betty, I thought you were going to be here at noon today. And she said, oh, well, Miss Susan, I didn't know that was a hard noon. I thought it was kind of a general thing. Oh, yeah. Good times. Good times. So that's a good little tool for you to learn there now, that the younger generation, if it's a hard noon, then you need to say it's a hard noon. What she doesn't understand, when you start lunch, it's 15 minutes late. It messes up everybody's day. I mean, everybody's day, everybody's lunches get pushed back 15 minutes. That's a hard concept for the young people to understand, that kind of thing. All right. So, so then we go from that to the employee who I left the program one day, and she called in sick, and I was in Walmart shopping. And guess who was in Walmart shopping? She was with her friends. So, of course, I go up to her. She was in the big gal section. I said, hey, what you doing? She said, shopping. I said, I thought you were sick. She said, I am. I said, well, you don't look sick. She said, well, really, I just didn't feel like working, but I felt like shopping. I said, I didn't feel like working today either, but I do feel like firing you. You're fired. So anyway, that's how we roll. So the funny thing is about this is, I'm a big proponent of, it's okay to be a B to the B. Do you know what the B stands for? Rhymes with which? Begins with a B, right? Okay, gotcha. All right. You can be a B to the B, but you can't be a B to everybody. And that's one of the things that we struggle with in our field. We get the weight, the responsibility that we carry is so heavy. The children's needs, the parents' needs, the state's needs, that crap gets really heavy over time. And many directors are directors because you're fixers. You fix everything. Any issue that comes up, you fix it for them. Instead of training people to fix it for themselves, we fix everything. And then we wonder why we can't take a day off without our phone ringing 15 times, because they cannot respond. They cannot fix anything because you've trained them to come to you for everything. Rule number 1, share the load, share that responsibility so that they can be self-sufficient when you take time off. You deserve time off, just like your assistant deserves time off. When your assistant takes a day off, do not call, do not email, do not message, do not text, unless it is an absolute emergency. And that would be what? Blood, fire, something like that. All right. Don't call them. That's not fair. Same thing for you. Stop these group texts with your leadership. Many of us have these group texts that it goes on nonstop all the time. You get off at 4, and by 6 o'clock, you've got 4 text messages. Bobby's mom's upset about this. The van, the AC wouldn't work this afternoon. The lawn people didn't show up, and the kids are tripping on the grass. I mean, every day. When you leave, you should be off. They should learn to make notes for you, and you should train them how to take care of things themselves, so you're not taking care of everything for them. So anyway, so like I said, it is okay to be a B to a B, but make sure that when you're done, you take that B off the lapel and we put it in a drawer and we save it for another day. Don't wear it all the time, because that's when you get the reputation when you go down the hallway of people say, here she comes. Heck on wheels is coming down the hallway, because she's going to point out everything we've done wrong. So I want you to point out things that people are doing right? Point out what is going positive and what is going good, and saving the B for the people, only for the people who deserve it. So, you know, I am the kind of person that when I supervise people, I don't mind people, you know, being challenged the first time, the second time. I am completely capable of training people and working with people. But the third time, I really start losing my patience. And I hired this girl, and this just proves that motivation is not always generational. So this was an older individual. Well, you know, the older I get, the younger she was. She was in her 40s. I'm in my 50s. So anyway, I guess that means I'm elderly. But anyway, so she was in her 40s, and I hired her to work like 12 to 6. And one thing she was to do was to keep our lobby clean, water the flowers, keep the trash picked up outside, sweep around the front door. Because, you know, if your building looks unkept, people think, how can you take care of children if you can't take care of a building? So that's something to really think about. Look at your building with new eyes, with new lenses when you walk up to it. Does it look loved? Are there flowers? Are they watered there? Are they dead? Right? Is there trash? Are there cigarette butts? Things like that. All those kinds of things, they play a role in when you recruit staff. They play a role when you recruit families. All of that kind of thing, you know, it's cumulative. And I would coming in and she was out sweeping around the front door, and I said, hi, I said, there's some trash over there on the other side of that fence. Would you mind picking that up? And she didn't say anything. And, you know, I'm chatty. I talk to everybody about anything. And she was one of those, she didn't say anything. I thought, well, okay, whatever. So I went inside and did my day's worth of work, came outside that afternoon. What's still out there was that trash. I thought, well, she must have gotten busy. So the second day I came in, well, you know, I am a little slow some days. So it took me 3 days to realize she's not picking up that trash. Right. So I brought her in, and she felt it was very demeaning for me to ask her to pick up trash. I said, but I pay you to clean. Oh, that's part of cleaning. It's picking up trash. I'm not sending you across the highway to pick up trash in somebody else's property. Trash at our front door. Pick it up. So anyway, so yes, I have become that kind of person that I do wind up sitting in an unemployment hearing. And when we get to the part about the trash, I pull out my Ziploc full of trash I picked up on the playground that day. So the little what's his name? I want to call him instigator. No, the little judgy person. I can't think of the name. Anyway, he started laughing when I put the trash out on the table. He thought it was hysterical. But needless to say, I did win. So there's many things that I have done. There's many things that I'm sure that you have done. Many of you guys have similar stories that I do. And then when I'm speaking at conferences, I speak at Chris Murray at the summit, and I speak at, you know, a lot of conferences. I used to speak at NCCA, you know, from time to time. And I would always have people that would come up to me and share all these the funny stories. So I know you guys have great stories also. People ask me to tell mine. I don't know why, but anyway, so I do enjoy that. So there's some things that in early childhood that they just don't teach you in college. And there's some things that no one teaches you. And like, you know, like who's driving the bus? So I had this program, and I had an older individual, we'll say, who was our cook, and she drove the bus to pick kids up in the afternoon from the pre-K, from the elementary school. She brought back the school age kids back to us, and she also would get gas in our buses. And so one day she went to get gas, and when she left the gas pump, she turned the bus too sharp. And you know, the big metal things at the end of the gas pumps to keep you from running over the gas pumps, right? You know, yeah, she managed to get the bus wedged up on one of those. Yeah. Now that's some really good PR, that you drive by the gas station and you see your bus with the logo on the side wedged up on the metal thing at the end of the gas pump. You know, you can't pay for that. As Madonna says, all publicity is good publicity. I'm not sure I believe that, but you know, I also don't take a lot of advice from Madonna. But anyway, so I didn't learn my lesson. I did have a conversation with the director, because I didn't want to be ageist, because you know, my mom was older, but she still had her sense about her. But anyway, so this lady who was a cook, I thought, well, she's got common sense. She just had a bad day. We all have a bad day. You know, I hit someone one time and I didn't realize I hit them until later, but that's another story. I could have been charged with what is it when you drive away from something, hit and run. I could have been charged with that, but I didn't get it. So anyway, so I did talk to the director, and I said, maybe she shouldn't drive the buses with kids on it for a while. Maybe let's just see where we are with this. Maybe not with the kids on there. And she said, yeah. Let's just do that. I said, good. I should have said, maybe she shouldn't go get gas anymore. I don't know. There's lots of things I should have said, like, give me your license. I don't know. So she goes to get the gas in the bus one day. It's cold. So she starts pumping the gas. And so she gets inside the bus to stay warm. So she hears the gas pump, the pump click off, that the gas tank is full. What do you think she did? She put it in drive and drove off. She didn't bother to disconnect the hose from the pump, from the bus. So now, from the very same station that she got the bus wedged on the gas pump, on the thing, now she's driving down the road with the gas nozzle hanging out of the side of the bus, which she does not realize until she gets back to the center. She gets out and goes, oh, what's that? I'm not sure why she did the next thing. So the next thing she does, she takes the nozzle out and she goes to the front door of the center, and the director's office is just inside the lobby, and she opens the door and she says, Barbara, can you come here for a second? And Barbara says, what is it, Mary? Oh, I'm using real names. I'm sorry. Don't, I'm sorry. But anyway, so what is it? So she says, you're going to need to come here. And there she is standing with the door open, holding the gas nozzle. And she says, well, what is that? And like anybody who's done something wrong, she starts getting defensive. She says, what do you think it is? It's a gas nozzle. Well, why do you have the gas nozzle? And she said, I don't know. She said, did it just follow you back from the gas station? I mean, how the heck did it get here? And she said, well, I guess I forgot to disconnect it. You guess? I don't think we're guessing. You didn't disconnect it, so now it's here. She said, what do you want me to do with it? She said, take it back. So she put it inside the bus and drove it back, and she got back. And by this time, I was back at the center, and she walked inside. And I said, so what did they say? She said, I didn't give them a chance. I walked inside, and the clerk was there, and I said, here, this is yours. And I turned around and left. And then she said, can we get gas somewhere else from now on? I said, we probably will have to get gas from somewhere else from now on, because you have probably, your name and our bus is probably posted, do not service these people. Oh, you cannot make this stuff up. So one day I was sitting at my desk the assistant director had gone home for the day. So I was sitting at her desk at the front door. You know, I'm a big proponent that someone in charge has got to be there in the mornings and in the afternoons. Someone in charge, someone who's in leadership needs to be there, needs to see parents come, needs to see parents go. I'm not a big proponent in someone doing both, right? Unless you're going to take a day off a week. It's too much to be there opening to close, right? But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. So, you know, as I'm sitting at the assistant director's office, sitting at her desk, and, you know, just I like to see people come and go, and you can tell what kind of attitude they're having, if they're happy with things, if they're unpleasant, if something's not jiving with them, and you can catch a lot of issues going on by that way, because you just kind of step out and kind of intervene and have conversations with them and build loyalty, relationships, and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So I'm sitting there, and Buffy comes in. Does that tell you who I'm dealing with? Buffy. Buffy comes in to pick up her little daughter, and she goes into the toddler room, and she comes out, and she leaves. I said, thanks, have a good day. She said, you too. And she walks out, and within seconds, she turns around and comes back. And I knew from the way she opened the door, uh-oh, something's not right. And she came around, and she's holding her child's hand next to her. And she says, Mr. Vernon, I need to talk to you. And I said, well, Buffy, what is it? And she says, someone has cut her hair. I said, what do you mean cut her hair? She said, someone has cut her bangs. I said, well, Buffy, we don't cut hair here. She said, Mr. Vernon, I'm telling you, somebody cut her hair. I said, did your mom pick her up last night? Did she get a haircut for her before you brought her back this morning? She said, no. And Buffy was a pretty nice woman. I never really had any dealings with her at all. She said, Mr. Vernon, I'm here to tell you, I picked her up when we left here last night. She hasn't been with anybody else. And I picked her up this afternoon, and someone has cut her hair. I said, well, hold on, let me go see. So I go inside the classroom, and we'll say Sheila, we'll give that her name. I walk up, and Sheila's changing diapers. And you know how it is in the toddler room in the afternoon. She's changing diapers, and she's supervising kids, and she's just going at it. And I go over, and I'm talking to her, and I said, Sheila, I said, Buffy's at the office, and she says that her daughter's hair's been cut. And Sheila goes, uh-huh. I said, uh-huh. Uh-huh, what? She said, it's been cut. So what's the most logical question to ask at this point? Why? Who? I said, why? And what do you think she said? It was in her eyes. She was rationalized. She thought she had done the right thing, and the mom would be appreciative that she had cut her hair. And all I could think of is don't throat punch her, don't throat punch her, don't throat punch her, don't throat punch her. Someone's got to supervise these kids for the rest of the day. I was just in shock. She literally thought she had done right. So did I mention that the child was 13 months old? Did I mention the child had just moved from the nursery to the toddler room? Did I mention that was the child's first haircut ever? And that the teacher did not save the hair? Because I think we can say and agree unanimously, she's an idiot, right? Absolutely. So, and that's exactly because my filter does not always work. You might be able to tell that by now. My filter doesn't always work. So I did go back up to the office where Buffy was standing there with her child. And I said, Buffy, I am so sorry. She is an idiot. And today is her last day. And shockingly, we had built a rapport that was strong enough that we ever came that with Buffy, and her daughter stayed from that 13-month-old period right on until she graduated from pre-K. But I was shocked because, you know, I will tell you that was before the Facebook world, because, you know, what a lot of parents would have got on Facebook and would have exploded that. Because let me tell you, you don't think you have to train people not to cut hair, but it actually will happen. I'm proof that it will happen. Someone will cut hair and you will just go to your grave thinking, oh, no, people, my teachers wouldn't cut that. They have more sense than that. Well, I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, they don't always have more sense. They don't have more sense than that. All right. So one of my other favorite stories that you just cannot make this stuff up is I had a teacher whose car got repossessed out of our parking lot. Anybody had a teacher get a car repossessed out of the parking lot? Yeah. It must be a Southern thing. I've had that happen a couple times. So, you know. So anyway, so she gets her car repoed, and a couple months later, it's Christmas, and she takes a couple weeks off during Christmas, and she comes back. Well, you know, something I learned from her is that, you know, you can actually make payments on plastic surgery. I did not realize that. So she had gone and got a boob job over Christmas. And she went from no boobs to double D's. I don't know how the girl stood up. I mean, it was like Anna Nicole. I mean, they were huge. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, she couldn't make the payments on her car. What happens if she doesn't make the payments on her boobs? Will they repossess them? Will they take one at the time? Will they reduce them? I mean, you know, if you don't make the whole payment, I mean, you know, how does this happen? But the funny story was this, is the parents that came up to the office, they came out, there was a group of 3 of them that came to my office that afternoon. They said, we need to know what to tell the kids. They want to know what's wrong with her. And, you know, I'm a fixer because I work in early childhood and in administration. I'm a fixer. So I came up right spur of the moment. I said, tell them she got an infection and swelled up. So that's how we went down. She got swollen and they never went away. Last time I saw her, she had them removed. I'm not sure if they were repossessed or she just had them removed. But anyway, they are gone at this point. Other unbelievable stories you cannot make up. How about the grandparent who needed time off and lied that her grandchild was being airlifted to one of our regional hospitals, right? And the child was still at school and accidentally got on the bus that afternoon. Someone else was supposed to pick it up, and the child got on our bus. And she had said that he was being airlifted to a hospital. Who lies about something like that? Why do you lie about something like that? And how do you come? You just kind of make that up. All right. How about the teacher that I had working in the pre-K room who was trying to teach the kids some Spanish and was teaching the kids for a couple of days in a row before we caught it? She was telling the little girls they were la caca instead of la chica. Well, la caca is poop slang for Spanish. So she's telling all the kids you're, you know, crap. But anyway, all the little girls, anyway, you know, good times. Explain that to your Hispanic speaking families. All right. Had to call 911 one time on a parent. Absolutely. Called because I was removing them from the program because, you know, it's okay. You know, if we do something wrong, I'm going to apologize. You can be upset if we did something wrong. There are times we absolutely deserve the rap, right? There are times, good Lord, I mean, how do you defend someone cutting hair, right? There are times we were absolutely in the wrong, but then there are times, girlfriend, calm down, right? And so we had this parent who a couple times just, I mean, threw a fit in the lobby over something ridiculous. And, you know, the second time, I pulled her in the next day when I thought she was a little rational. And I said, it's just not going to work. I get it. Everyone has a right to be upset. But the way you communicate your feelings is alarming to the other parents. They feel unsafe. And so I don't think we're the right program for you. Well, with that, she started slinging stuff off my desk. Yeah, it was not a good scene. So I got up and called 911. And when they asked me who the person was, I told them, and she said, The 911 operator, you know, you're in a small town or someone's got a rap sheet a mile long when the 911 operator says, "What's she done now?" And I was like, oh, that's not a good scene when the 911 operator recognizes the name. I might be in La Caca myself. But anyway, so did I mention she went to jail a few years later because her mom passed away and she drove around in the car deceased for about a week and a half? Yeah. So anyway, that's another story. All right. So anyway, so one morning I'm laying in bed and it's pretty early in the morning and the director had opened up the program and she said, Mr. Vernon, she said, "I think I need you to come to the program." And I love how people say, "I think," but anyway, I said, "Why, what's wrong?" She says, "I think the hamster is having a seizure." I said, "What makes you think that?" She said, she's convulsing violently. I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a seizure to me." I said, "Aren't parents coming and going?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "What are they saying? Aren't that scaring the kids to death?" She said, "No, we covered it up with a towel." I said, "Okay, well, that's helpful." So I get in my car and thank goodness it was a program that's closest to my house. So I get in my car and I am just, got a hat on and whatever. And I'm going down there in a t-shirt and a hat. And I look down and I'm literally going 75 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. And I thought, this is not going to be pretty. If I get stopped and the minute I tell them I'm speeding because there is a seizure, there is a hamster having a seizure somewhere, I'm going to get tased and locked up. Absolutely. They're going to take me to jail because they're going to think I'm absolutely lying. So I did slow down and I didn't get a ticket that day. So I got in the parking lot and I went inside and I scooped up. And, when I was a kid, hamsters had little names like Buddy, or Little Bit or something like that. But this hamster's name was Precious Peaches, something. It had three names. I never understood why hamster had three names, but anyway, it had three names. So, when a hamster is in distress, where do you work on them? Where do you assess them in a program? Well, in the kitchen, of course. So I took the hamster, got the towel, took the hamster down to the kitchen, and I looked at the hamster and there was a piece of mulch wedged in the mouth. And so the cook was standing there. I said, "Hey," I said, "go get me the tweezers." So she flew over into one of the center, into the sites, and she went out tweezers, and I put the tweezers in the little hamster's mouth, and I pulled out the mulch, and the hamster went. I said, "Oh, that probably been caught in its mouth for a while. It's choking." I said, "It needs some water. Go get me some a dropper." So they went to the sites here, got a dropper, and I dropped it in there, and the hamster was coughing, whatever. And all the hamster stopped breathing, and heart rate stopped. And I was like, "Oh no, buddy, not on my watch." So I take the little hamster and I go, boop, 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 and didn't do anything. And of course, the cook who had been with him for a long time, now the assistant cook is standing there too. And I'm doing the little chest compressions. And the cook, she says, "You know what comes next?" I said, "Yes, I do know what comes next. Mouth breaths. I get that." I don't think you have to do that with CPR now, but at the time you had to do chest compressions and mouth breaths. So anyway, so I'm looking at this little hamster and I'm not real thrilled about giving it mouth breaths because I've seen how flexible it is and where it spends a lot of time and it spends a lot of tension on its other end. So I wasn't real thrilled about this. So I looked down at the little hamster and I went, and nothing. So I started giving chest compressions again. And all of a sudden Judy walked up. Judy was one of my assistant cooks. And Judy was very religious. I'm spiritual. I'm not necessarily religious. And so Judy looks at me and I'm holding this little hamster and she says, "I'd throw that thing in the dumpster if I were you and call it a day." I said, "Miss Judy, this is one of God's creatures. I will pray for you." So she was so offended by that I was giving her religious advice. But anyway, so I was doing this. And so doing the chest compressions and doing the mouth breaths. And all of a sudden the hamster righted itself and stood up and coughed. And I was like, "Oh, it's going to make it. It's going to make it." So I got a little box and the towel and I put it in the front seat of my car and I went back home to get ready for work, because my work day hasn't even started yet. So I got home and now you're waiting for this great ending of the story, right? Well, by the time I got home and took Precious Peaches out of the front seat of my car, she was dead. So all that work for nothing. But anyway, I digress. So Precious Peaches is buried in my ivy garden in a fruitcake box because it was around Christmas. And what do you do with fruitcake? You dump it in the trash and you keep the box, right? It's a nice little metal tin. So that's where Peaches is planted in our ivy patch. Yep. Good times. Good times. All right. So now one of them, now my last story really has nothing to do with early childhood, but it's just one of those scenarios that you just cannot make this stuff up. And that I have lived a marvelous life. I've gotten to 54 years of age. I've not been a winner or the best at anything. I'm a pretty mediocre person. I mean, but I have done mediocre pretty well in my age. I've done it pretty great. Even I've got a little quote here somewhere. Susie Orman even says, y'all know who Susie Orman is? Yeah, anyway. So Susie Orman even says, when you make average great, your dreams become a reality. When you make average great, your dreams become a reality. Well, I would say that's a pretty much scenario for me because I've been pretty mediocre at things, right? So I save my dollars and I save my dimes and my quarters, and I have a bucket list of places I want to travel in the world. And so we were headed to Tahiti. So we get to the airport and we fly across country and we get to LA and we go in, we fly in a little early so we can have that night in LA. And we said, we got there about 3 o'clock and we said, well, let's take a little nap. You know, you got to keep in mind East Coast time, West Coast time is three hours. So this is how the trip started out, and it's pretty much how it went the whole trip. So we laid down to take a little nap before we went out on the town that night, and we never woke up until the next morning. It's time to leave for our flight. So we missed the whole night in LA. So on the way to the airport, and my stomach starts to rumbling. I thought, what's up with that? I don't think anything about it, but it's interesting. So I get to the airport and we are flying Air Tahiti. Ever heard of it? Yeah. It is so luxurious that they allow you to get on before they load the chickens. You know, that's the important thing to know there. Yeah. It's a big plane. It's one of those planes that's got 2 seats on the outside, 5 in the middle, and 2 on the other side. So we were smart. We got 2 on the outside, so that was really good. And by this point, I've been to this is a bathroom story. I hope some people are probably eating, but I hope you're not eating pudding or fudge or anything. But anyway, so anyways, it's a bathroom story, just a little FYI. And so I'm sitting on the plane. I've already been to the bathroom twice before we load the plane. And as we take off, the pilot comes on and says, just a little heads up. We want to let you know that we've had a little mechanical issue. Keep in mind, we'll be flying in the air for like 12 hours on this tin can. He said, we've got a little mechanical issue, so the bathrooms on the left-hand side of the plane are not operational. So we've got 300 people on a plane with only half the bathrooms we're supposed to have. And my stomach starts churning. And you know how that psychology works? When you know you don't have an opportunity to go, you probably need to go. And so I got in line to just precautionary, just in case this rumbling kept on. I was going to get in line. So I got in line, waited. I was like number 8 for the bathroom. And by the time I got up there, you guys seen, what is that called? In the wet, what's that movie? Not Bridezilla. It's got, who is that in that movie? My mind has gone completely.
Bridesmaids.
Yes, that's it. Bridesmaids. You guys seen Bridesmaids? Where the chick flies in the bathroom and she winds up sitting on the sink. Well, at this point, I was scoping out the sinks in the area because I was like, I'm gonna crap my pants. I'm gonna crap my pants. I'm asking the people in front of me, going, I really hate to bother you, but I'm gonna have an incident if I don't get to the bathrooms. And could I get in front of you? Yeah, sure. Then I get to the one old crabby old person who wouldn't let me in front of them, and I was like, well, if I have to aim, I'm going for his shoes. But anyway. So I finally did get to the bathroom, and I literally spent the rest of the 12 hours pretty much just kind of rotating in back of the line just because I just was worried that, I wouldn't be able to go. So anyway, so we get to Tahiti, we land, and I'm thinking, thank God we are here, we are good, everything is good. Before I get off the plane, they do make you fill out a health questionnaire, and it says on here, have you had diarrhea in the last 12 hours? There's times you have to decide how to answer something. I was going to Tahiti. I'd had diarrhea. I didn't think I was contagious. Of course, I answered that. No, I hadn't had diarrhea. So we get in line at the customs, and all I could think about is, Locked Up Abroad. Have you guys watched Locked Up Abroad? Those jails in these foreign countries, it makes the jails that we have in the United States look like a Hilton. I mean, and I'm not the prettiest thing in the world, but I'm scared if I went to jail, I would be way more popular than I'd want to be. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. So I'm just so I'm standing in line for customs, and all of a sudden it hits me again. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And we're in this terminal, no air conditioned. They do have fans, no air conditioned. And thank goodness there is a bathroom on the other side of where I am before you go through customs. And so I told Andy, I said, I've got to go to the bathroom. He said, we're almost there. I said, I got to go to the bathroom. So I wander over there and I go in there and I shut the door and I sit down. And when I sit down, I realize there's no sink in this bathroom. And then I realize there's no toilet paper in this bathroom either. I'm in a bad way at this point. So needless to say, I come out of that bathroom with one less piece of garment of clothes. I just had to give up the underwear because it just, they had to go. Something had to go, and there had to be underwear. I didn't have nothing on but that underwear, shorts, and a t-shirt. So the underwear had to go. So then I get in line after, feeling like as if I've crapped my pants. So I'm in line with the going through customs, and the little security guard goes, what I think he's asking is, he's going down the list of questions. Have you had diarrhea? Have you had vomiting? Blah, 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 all this kind of little stuff. And he asked this question that I don't even hear the question. I said, no, I have not. Well, what he asked me was, am I ready to enjoy Tahiti? And I said, no, I have not. I don't know. Yeah. So I got through there. I was scared to death, but I got through there. Then we got in the taxi. We'll just say they don't have the same safety standards they have in the United States. We literally flew to the resort in a taxi in a small station wagon with a sliding door, open. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No seatbelt, so you're holding on, right? Yeah, absolutely. So we get to the hotel and we unpack our clothes and put on a bathing suit, and we go out to the area. It's right on the water. It's just beautiful, and people are swimming in the water. And I go, oh my God, let me just jump in the water. Let this day just end, because it's getting late now, and the sun's still up, but it's still getting late. And I go, let's just stay in. And I jumped off the pier and I jumped into the water. And when I did, the water went straight up my nose. Saltiest water I'd ever tasted in my life. I came up from there and I vomited everywhere. That does not make you very popular at the resort. When you get there, you jump in the water and everyone watches you vomit everywhere. So I did learn something. That's something I can teach you. That is this. Did you know that vomit attracts sea animals? It does. I had to get out of the water because then all these fish started coming up eating my vomit. Good times, good times, good times, good times. Okay. All right, guys. So that's my stories for today. I'm going to end today with two little things I want to talk to you about. And that is this. We are in a crazy, crazy world right now. There is so much going wrong that we are finding ourselves trying to fix issues every day, right? We are fixing issues on a daily basis that we didn't realize is an issue the day before. So we're constantly doing that. But you know what? That is what we do best. We are fixers, right? I want you to look at yourself as the leader of your company, the leader of your school, right? I want you to remove yourself in some ways of getting down and doing the grunt work. It's fine. Your people know that you're willing to and you can do the grunt work. But when you're busy doing the grunt work all the time, you cannot see the big picture. And it is your job to see the big picture. So number one, take care of yourselves. Take time off. Get rest, de-stress, unhook, and remove yourself from the stress, because no one can deal with and no one can live under the amount of stress that we are living under for long, extended periods without it having a physical reaction to you, right? On you. So take care of yourself out there. All right. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from Gloria Vanderbilt. All right. She says, "The rainbows come and go. Enjoy it while it lasts. Don't be surprised by its departure, and rejoice when it returns." All right, guys, thank you. It's been great being here with you today. I hope I've made you laugh. I hope maybe you learned a little something. I don't know, but if not, I hope I made you laugh. I hope I didn't offend too many of you. But it's been fun to be here with you. This is one of the little favorite little talks that I give, because many times I do this at like during cocktail hours and things like this, and it becomes like a little stand-up kind of gig. It's the first time I've done this via Zoom. So it's challenging because I see some of your responses, but I don't get to hear you, but I've enjoyed being here with you. I have two things I want to tell you about. Number one, if you're the owner of your company, I am taking a small group of 50 owners in May to Key West. We've been sold out for a couple months. I just had someone contact me last night that they actually are selling their company and they will not be attending. So I have 2 seats available. It's $4.95. You have to get your own room. You can email me, Vernon Directors Leadership @gmail.com, Vernon Directors Leadership @gmail.com. It is the end of May. We've got about it's a great event. It's highly motivated owners. The other thing is, and I was going to tell you about this, I am now Senior VP for the Nest Schools. Nest, I'm sorry about my accent, Nest as in bird nest. I'm Senior VP of the Nest Schools. We are growing. We started 2021 with no schools, and today we're operating 23 schools. Now tell me what that's like with growth, right? That is crazy. So we have schools in Ohio, we have schools in North Carolina, we have schools under contract in Texas, we have schools under construction in Florida. So we are, if you are in our target market, and we are looking for schools to acquire. So if you think you're interested in maybe talking to someone about selling, you can contact me, Vernon at the Nest School. .com, Vernon at the Nest School, Nest is singular, Vernon at the nestschool.com. All right, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about it. All right, guys, Cindy, I'll turn it back over to you. Or do you have questions? What kind of questions do we have? Oh, thank you for putting that in the chat, my email. Yes.
Real quick, Vernon, this is just so wonderful. I want to just read to you real quick. This is the best thing ever. One participant said, I can't wait to share with my staff. Another said a friend called 911 and had the fire department come because their hamster got lost, got loose and lost. Another said, this is the best session. I really needed these last day. Thank you so much. Gotta love Vernon. Laughter is the best remedy. You are amazing. Thank you for sharing. You have an amazing perspective on life. I really needed this today, and it goes on and on.
Oh, thank you.
Just wanted to share that with you. And then Cindy.
Yes, and Vernon, I just had to say, first of all, my grandmother did have a switch. So I am very familiar with the use of a switch to get cooperation. As a grandmother, I'm not using a switch, because again, we're reaping what we sow. Yeah. And
my grandmother also had a switch too, and that was a switch so she could turn it on and turn it off. And you know what? I inherited that from her. I've been accused of being bipolar.
Oh,
because I told you how I'm patient with people till about the 3rd time. So people have, I can rip somebody up and then turn around and I can be nice to somebody else. And I had a director tell me one time, how do you do that? It's like a switch. You cut it on and you cut it off.
There you go.
There you go.
And I too am self-diagnosed ADHD. So I get that completely. And I will say that you actually brought back a memory that I think I had suppressed. And it made me laugh at a situation that I don't recall laughing at, but now I can. I was a brand new multi-site manager with absolutely no experience to be a multi-site manager back in 1984. And I had a teacher do haircuts in her toddler room. Exact same experience.
Wow.
And I had to deal with several parents that were upset. And again, this teacher thought it was the right thing to do to get the bangs out of the kids' eyes. And I will tell you, often in my career, I have felt like cutting the hair of children because I think it's so unsafe the way the hair hangs in the face while they're trying to grow out the bangs. But anyway, I knew that was the wrong thing to do, so I never recommended it.
Cindy, I have never had anybody else who's had haircuts like that.
It was the only.
And yours was haircuts.
Yes, it was more than one. And ultimately, the good news is I never had it again. And I don't know why. I always think God gave me that lesson early on, and helped me learn how to talk with parents in a really rough situation, because it was rough. And I know, so thank you for reminding me that I can sit back and laugh at that now. I do want to just say that you are well beyond mediocre to all of us, as our comments, indicated. And we are so grateful to you and hope to have you back someday. Keep us laughing, because we have a lot of things on our plate, And it's not going to go away anytime soon. And then also I would just like to offer a little advice that I have given, the wonderful individuals that I have had the opportunity to meet in my 40 plus years of working in childcare and early education. And that is, if you cannot smile in your center, go home, reflect, rest, and recharge, and then go back, because we really can't afford to have frowning faces or frowning Fridas. Because I think you mentioned frowning Fridas, and that's something that one of my directors coined that phrase for us. And if you're the frowning Frida, it's going to just spread like wildfire. And it's okay to be a frowning Frida for for a little bit, but remove yourself, because that's a sign that you need to reflect, rest, and recharge. So take care. You are all essential. Vernon, you remain essential, and God bless the people that have hired you to be a senior VP. They are the luckiest people in the world. Take care.
You said so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank
Have a
Bye.
good
Thank
day.
you all for joining. Thank you.